Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I am your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
and today we are joined by none other than our esteemed Star Wars and Marvel confidant, Travis Mosler.
Hey guys, glad to be back.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I guess it's been since Mandalorian finale. Was that the last time you were on?
I think he was
Was
on
it?
for WandaVision, wasn't he not? Have we just been talking WandaVision? I guess so.
We've just been
We've been texting
about
like
WandaVision
crazy.
episode to
God.
episode. Yeah.
It feels like we're on the podcast, I guess, then.
Every week, yeah.
Yeah, I
on
guess
the
so.
podcast of life.
Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way, you're up to date on all future episodes of Podcast 2 for 1. That way, you get all of our cool content, and as well as staying up to date on other cool things like 2 for 1 collectors and 2 for 1 backflash and all that cool, fancy, cool stuff we talk about. Anyway, we're talking about WandaVision. We haven't talked about episode 7 and 8, but we think retroactively talking about the series finale, as it's called, will kind of do all that for us. So anyway, guys, let's start with our general reactions. Travis, why don't you go first?
Yep. I thought it was great and I loved it. And I think we had a lot of different expectations based on theories that we have kind of discussed behind the scenes. Throughout the series, a lot of them kind of panned out and came true, which has been really fun. But towards the end here, there were some red herrings and things that, we thought might come to pass that did not. Fortunately, I kind of took all those with a grain of salt and kind of knew and trusted Marvel and their storytelling capabilities just based on their body of work, that there would be a solid, good conclusion that would leave me excited about what's next. And that's what I feel like I got. It told Wanda's story, because this is about Wanda. It told it well. It finished it. She learned and grew in some pretty powerful ways. And it was a fun finale. There was a lot of stuff that we kind of saw coming, but were still really cool to see. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a great season. So.
Awesome. Daniel?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I agree. I loved it. I thought there was some really strong emotion in this entire show. Maybe some better emotion than almost Marvel's. I would say the Infinity War Endgame arc and the emotion that was in some of those finales was amazing. But as far as just real, raw, dealing with real world issues in a superhero world, and feeling like we were really gone on a journey with the character, understood why they were and why they were hurt and what happened because of that. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the major last scene of the episode was heartbreaking and just really good. I was a little disappointed, not only in some of the lack of reveals, which by the time I'd gotten to the episode, the director had beat it through my head that I wasn't getting anything. So I was not expecting. They really threw out the holy shit, expectations are bad. Let's crank up the marketing machine to try to tamper these down. And it worked. And, a couple other things, RALPH BOHNER comes to mind. But
I was going to say 2 words, RALPH BOHNER. That was going to be my summary right there.
Yeah. So all in all, we'll dig into more, but
Ralph.
I still agree with Travis a lot. I think it was a great conclusion to Wanda's story and a great setup for what's next. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to add. I think I said a couple of days ago in our private chat that we need to start powering down our expectations just based on, some of the things that were coming out and X, Y, and Z. And I think looking at it from, again, the filmmaker's perspective, I think the show did ultimately almost everything it set out to do. And what Travis said, it's about Wanda, it's about her story and her overcoming grief. I do have some issues with it, which we'll get into, but I don't know. There's a few things, and the expectation thing does hurt me a little bit. But part of that I feel like is my own fault, and it's the fan machine churning. And then the other part of it, I do think there's a few things that they had done on their end that kind of I would say it's their fault a little bit. But
yeah, I agree with that a little.
Yeah. It's really easy, I think, to kind of cap this one off summary wise. Agatha has revealed her plan that she wants to basically siphon her powers, chaos magic. And ultimately what I find out is that White Vision is sent in to take care of everyone involved, mainly Scarlet Witch, right? And Vision intercepts, and then
I really enjoyed the Vision versus White Vision battles.
That's probably my favorite part, other than the emotional beats, was that scene.
I think that had the best action.
It did.
For sure.
And then, of course, Agatha is tricked into getting under a rune spell, which was kind of foreshadowed a couple episodes earlier, and she becomes the Scarlet Witch. Our heroes disband. The world that she created has fallen, and now we kind of are left to wonder where we're going from here. So that's kind of the whole plot of the episode. Let's break into what worked. What worked for this? What worked for you guys?
I feel like the three of us kind of predicted the season finale structure, and I'm really glad that it kind of panned out this way. We were hoping that episode 8, we would have a lot of answered questions that provide context for that final conflict resolution episode. And I think we really got that with all the flashbacks. I thought it was very intentional that they gave Agatha's flashback in Salem, and you got to see, that she was gaining all this power, all this dark power, and then all her colleagues were like, you're too powerful, you're dangerous, we can't have you. And in this finale, the roles are totally reversed. And now Wanda has all this new power and this dark magic, and Agatha's like, you're too powerful and you're too dangerous and we can't have you. So it's just interesting to see that.
Do you think that one thing I kind of gathered from this was, she was basically taunting Wanda to use her power to steal it. It kind of seemed like it was almost more of a mirror to the flashback sequence. Maybe Agatha was planning that the whole time, and all the witches gave her power. So, she was trying to replicate that old school way of how she used to do things, and it kind of backfired. At least Wanda saw through it and or decided not to. I guess she didn't see through it. She decided not to do it. You think it's more of a role reversal or more of a doing what she's always done?
Well, Wanda accused her of doing that on purpose in Salem. She was like, the difference between you and me is that you did this intentionally. Like you got your power because you wanted to be powerful. I got my power just because it kind of came to me. It just happened. So I think that's significant. And I don't know whether or not that's true, but we did see in that flashback, Agatha was deceptive. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any of these allegations. And they said enough deception. She was like, okay, fine. So we know she
kills her mom.
deceptive. Yeah.
It's also a sign of.
Do you guys think? I was gonna say, do you guys think Agatha is ultimately bad? I guess that's something maybe later we talk about.
I think she seems kind of morally gray. I mean, obviously they left it open. I mean, Wanda literally says, until I have use of you, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'll leave
literally.
you here. And it's like, okay, so obviously she's going to be needed again. That's what it.
I wish she had said. I wish she had said, until Kevin Feige, writes you back in. I wish it had something like that.
Stares into camera.
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously, and Agatha kept alluding to, you have no idea of the repercussions of what you've done. So obviously, some kind of snowball effect has begun. We don't have any idea what it is. So I think Agatha definitely will, and she's a fan favorite. I mean, her song's #1 on iTunes, which is.
Is it really? Wow.
That's awesome. Really is. Yes. But I will say, I feel like the Agatha Wanda final battle was to me. It was okay.
It's just kind of weird her throwing fireballs at her. Now we know that she's making runes.
Yeah, it was all strategy.
The best part
was just kind of
when
weird.
the best part was when she kind of did her Age of Ultron thing, which was snuck up behind her super fast and did like the whispery thing with the brain. Like that's always, I always thought that was awesome in Ultron when she does that. Like that was cool. And then like the rune stuff, I mean, it was good visuals. And of course, when like the costume came and she looked all badass, I don't know, maybe check with you, Donovan. I didn't feel like there was a solid one-liner in there, but I feel like I wanted just kind of a, I'm the Scarlet Witch and then or something, you know? Yeah, exactly, I mean, exactly. You said it yourself, bitch.
That would have been
I'd
awesome.
take it. I love that one. That's my favorite one-liner in Marvel, so I'd take it.
It's up there. It's not the best one.
She did have like a one-liner moment, but it wasn't like
it was kind of a one paragraph.
I honestly, funny enough, I didn't really look too much into it.
She was like, "Thanks for the lesson," you know, with the.
I guess that was it. The rune thing, yeah.
I think she said some other things in there with that, but it was.
Yeah. It wasn't on my radar. If that tells you anything, so I wasn't thinking too much about it.
I was much more intrigued and love the Vision versus Vision. The whole from the battle to the resolution. Oh, loved it. I was like, fuck, like this feels
request
so
elaboration.
Yes.
Yeah, great line.
The Theseus's ship analogy going back, it's just like this is perfect for Vision.
No, it's great because it's intellect solving an issue versus your fist. And of course there was fist in the beginning. That was my favorite thing in the episode, just for like an entertainment value. It's the only thing since I watched it earlier this morning, I've went back and I've watched that scene like 3 times just so I could watch, just they're in a library also, which is great. Yeah, they're in the library.
Yeah, it definitely, it called back to some of that dialogue between Vision and Ultron, but I feel like the White Vision was much more of a pragmatist rather than just a unchecked force of chaos based on how he perceived the world around him and stuff. And so, it was cool to see.
You know, there was I didn't mention this to you guys, but the last 3 days, there's been a few heavy rumors. One of them being that James Spader was leaked to be in the credits, that he was going to be the voice of this new White Vision.
Yeah, right before I played the episode, I was like, is it gonna be like Ultron-y, or is it gonna be?
Yeah, and I think that it could be something we talk about later, but that could definitely come up now, in my opinion, even more so than beforehand. Ultron could come back, but I thought that was great. I do feel like, I don't know, I kind of wish I think it was so good, I wanted more, and I feel like it was a little. There's a lot of I wanted more.
The best stuff leaves you wanting more, but
but there's also.
But I agree. I mean, as a fan though, like I'm super happy with what it did. It opened the door. Paul Bettany's still in the MCU, and Vision is still around, and obviously it's more Vision than we realized. Like there is more Vision left over than anyone realized, and I love that it, like, his little symbol went gold, like the Soul Stone, for a minute. I thought like everything with his eyes, like all the memories, and then the I am the Vision, and then shooting up. Oh yeah, perfect. And I'm like, yes, Vision's still alive. Vision's still like that. That was just my like, he's not dead. Paul Bettany's still here.
And the goodbye between Wanda's Vision and Wanda at that last moment, he was very specific that, you know, I came, you know, maybe we'll see each other again, kind of thing.
Why didn't he tell her what happened? He's like, oh, by the way, you remember
because
that white guy?
I think he still I don't think he wants to totally water down the lesson from all of this. I don't.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think he didn't want there to be just a total, we're never going to see each other again. This is a goodbye, like that thing, because he knew it would happen again. And
we've already seen it.
He's very in touch with Wanda's processing her grief and her emotions. And so, based on his analysis, that his wording, the way he said that, is what she needed to hear in that moment to bridge that gap. So,
do you guys think it's weird? Yeah, a great moment. Yeah, I have a lot of negatives, I guess. I guess we should keep talking about the positives before I jump into all that. I think the costume is incredible. Her new costume is great. I love it.
Badass.
It looks so good, and it's a thing that, you know, they've been on, like, paying homage to it as we've went throughout the movies, and it's one of those things like people are like, oh, we'll never get that, and we had the kind of the really comic accurate like shitty 70s version in the in the Halloween, which is kind of like that's what the actual comic book probably would look like in real life. But this looks like the movie version, the high production valued MCU version, and I thought it was great. And I love the crown, like being made out of energy.
Yes.
Oh,
All that stuff's incredible.
I love how they did with the Nate, like using this series to explain the Scarlet Witch moniker. Like they're like, what does she like? All the stuff in the beginning with what does she have a nickname? Nope, it's just Wanda. And then by the end, she is the Scarlet Witch. Like it's like a role.
What's interesting
it's good
is they've really made this like a Dark Phoenix story almost, and it's like you almost wonder this was being done before they had acquired Fox or in that process, and maybe they were trying to lean into that kind of thing. But now that they have the Dark Phoenix, anyway,
if and when X-Men is brought back in, or when it is not if I could see them waiting 10 years to do another Dark Phoenix. We've had 2 in the last 15 years, and both
this
have
is
been
doing
mediocre. So
this is the best version of that so far. So
yeah, and I was gonna say too, like Phoenix and Wanda are kind of special, both special in similar ways. Like I know they're like 2 characters that's kind of like an ongoing debate of who would win, because no one really like who is more powerful. It's kind of like well, they both are fucking powerful, like like could destroy multiverses, or whatever. Right. And so I'm interested to see what they could do with that eventually, because I could see that being a nice back and forth or some kind of relationship there. I mean, we're still talking positives. Well, I'll skip the first end credit scene in that case, because that one I just didn't really care about. But the end one I thought was really cool. Obviously, we're seeing her like astrally project herself in 2 different places, which is like really badass. And
did Strange do that when he was learning? I can't remember.
Yeah,
okay. It's how he learned so quickly.
Okay, that's
he
what
continued to read the book. He like stole the books out of the library with his little circle things, and then he read all through the night. And
that's right. Yeah, okay. That's right.
Okay.
That's how he rose so quickly.
So that's a great callback. Did y'all notice that there was the Doctor Strange theme played at the end as well? At the end
I noticed the music.
I did not notice
Doctor Strange theme, which is obvious. I love that she's like, getting read up on what's it called?
Darkhold.
The Darkhold.
The
Darkhold. Okay.
Man, I wish it was called the Dark Rod. Give me that Dark Rod.
Which I guess is just like the Necronomicon from the Mummy is what I'm like to. But
that's the Book of the Dead from the Mummy, Daniel. The Necronomicon.
Well, she said it was also the Book of the Dead. This shows the Book of the Damned.
I know.
The Book of the Damned.
It's kind of
there you go.
Kind of the same thing. But I love, obviously, what I love. My favorite things are you can see her becoming like incredibly powerful, and now I'm thinking instead of she's the villain in Doctor Strange, I'm thinking she goes to Doctor Strange for help to find her kids. Like that. Now I'm seeing like buddy cop Doctor Strange Scarlet Witch kind of thing. I'm like, fuck yes, I want to see them team up on some badass people, and bring her kids back.
I thought that was gonna be our end scene. I knew the end scene in some way, or at least one of them, was going to be Wanda exploring what this means and stuff. Like just like Agatha said, like the issue isn't your power, it's your knowledge. And so I thought she was going to say, what the heck am I? I'm apparently dangerous, but I don't want to blow up the universe. So I'm going to go talk to somebody who might know. But what she did was she took that book and started reading it. So I thought she was going to, I did like the Sorcerer.
She's more powerful.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I love the Sorcerer Supreme name drop. And that
I know, that was cool.
That she's more powerful.
I thought he was going to totally walk up Doctor Strange at the end. I expected. I was like, okay, well, this is the moment we're going to have Strange, or a bigger cameo will be right here in this moment, and it didn't happen, which I thought was interesting.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it.
Out.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought that was I like that we hear our kids like, Mom, because it means they're not gone forever. We're bringing them back. I would assume in the process of Doctor Strange 2, they come to real life or come to this universe.
I mean, I get that.
That's interesting.
And with the visual of her astral form or whatever, it seemed pretty dark. It seemed pretty like ambiguously borderline evil, like her facial expression and her action and like, so
Well, and I'll
it's
say
interesting.
I was doing some research, reading some forums, and then doing some my own research, and I did read about. I'm guess Donovan. You might know about this, but there's a villain. He's basically an elder god, but Chthon is how like Chthon.
Yeah.
And he is the Darkhold is his writings. It exists because of him. And it was like there was some elder god battle and they was about to be destroyed, and he wrote down he put his presence into this book so that he could live on beyond the battle or the destruction. And he in the comics comes back several times because of this book. And one of the times he basically possesses Wanda through her reading of the Darkhold, and they have to like get him out of her. So that is definitely, I still think that character seems to me could definitely be involved in Doctor Strange 2, I think, or involved in it somehow. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities with her having that book and her still being possessed or whatever might happen. I will say she's been bad twice now, kind of, like obviously not real bad in WandaVision, but she's been the kind of antagonist. I am like, will she stable? I mean, obviously the comics, she kind of never stabilizes or is happy until she dies. But
I'm with you. I feel like we've kind of been there, done that with like her being kind of a bad guy. I think if we were to see her cause destruction, it would be through manipulation, being someone trying to utilize the power of the Scarlet Witch to achieve something. And then our heroes have to, break that hold over her and save the day.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I mean, she is the Force now. Like she is the single greatest power in the MCU at the present moment. I mean, we had the Infinity
They seem
Stones,
to allude she's
that,
more powerful like Captain Marvel. Yeah.
I mean, based on what Agatha said, like I guess the prophecies or the mythos surrounding the Scarlet Witch, like, and from what I've read, that video I sent last night, like, she has the like ability to like totally rewrite the universe, like so
she's one of, like, in the comics they called them Nexus beings that were just like, they were so powerful they existed across multiverses, like that exact version of themselves in a way. And like Phoenix is one too, but they had the power to just alter time and change how things are happening, or just like you said, rewrite reality.
So she has to develop like the self-control of Bruce Banner pretty much to keep that power at bay and in control, because if it gets outside of that, she sneezes wrong, she could, destroy half of the earth or split up the timeline.
Well, I'm thinking long term, they're gonna have to find a way to, I don't know, maybe they don't, maybe they end up having to kill her off at some point, but like, how would she not just be a trump card to any villain ever? Hey, Wanda, can you just rewrite this so they don't exist? Thanks. And you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like
a magic bullet.
The escalating powers, right? It's like Batman Begins, this escalation. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, it's like Vision. It's
yes.
Whatever he says, escalation drives conflict, and conflict drives destruction.
Exactly. So like, how powerful does a bad guy now need to be more powerful than Wanda? That seems like,
that's why
you'd have to get math equations.
It's tricky.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I think the multiverse can be useful. It can almost act as like a containment for, different levels of heroes and different levels of bads, so that you can still tell meaningful stories in ways that the stakes are reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think that because at Chthon, it could be, but also I think through this whole last 8 weeks, we've thought it was Mephisto, we've thought it was Nightmare, we've thought it was X, Y, and Z, and I feel like all these characters
it was fucking.
It was Agatha all along.
It was Ralph
Bohner. Ralph Bohner. I just realized that's Ralph. That's her Ralph.
Yeah. Yes, that's Ralph.
I didn't realize that till just now.
Oh,
Because you
I
think
didn't-
Kyle is like
was talking
Ralph
about.
Bohner.
I didn't catch that either.
Which
actually.
that's something I want to talk about. It's like who is
No,
Ralph
I,
Bohner?
I can't wait
No,
to
that
talk
was
about
a bit of a like head major.
And why
head
is Ralph
scratcher for
Bohner?
me.
And why does he still have super speed? And what
We'll
you
get
know
there.
what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, no,
Was
we'll-
it maybe
we'll get
just the
there.
necklace? He had the necklace. We didn't see him do super
Did he-
speed after the necklace came off.
Yeah,
Technically,
That was the last time we saw him. It was like
True.
the necklace came off.
it was. It was.
that was.
But real quick, I think that all those characters could be, it could be any of those characters, and Marvel has done a way of combining certain things to make things simple, and all those people we've mentioned, Nightmare, Mephisto, they all have like a similar want and similar way of going about it. The Darkhold
And they're all
wasn't
very,
like
like,
mystical.
mystical. Right?
Yeah,
They're all
that's
kinda
what I'm saying.
demons or elder gods or something.
Yeah, and honestly, based on my experience over the last 2 weeks and all that, I'm like, I don't even care to speculate who the bad guys are because it doesn't
You're so
matter anymore.
burned.
I'm not upset, burned, but like those characters are all so similar, and again, in their power set and what they want, that it's like it could be any of them, or it could be an amalgamation of all of them. That's why I'm just like, it's but yeah, I mean, I had one more thing I want to talk about, which was that last scene between Wanda and Vision and the kids, which as a good moment. That and the Monica Rambeau kind of showing off her powers. I think those are the two other standouts for me.
Though I don't understand what her powers are.
It seems like she can absorb the energy.
She turns into
She can see energy and she
ballistic
can absorb.
rubber.
Well, it seemed like she was taking the kinetic energy from the bullet and taking that out of the bullet, almost to me. But it went through her. But that's what the vibe.
It's like she can phase her body into energy fields, is the way I kind of saw it, because that's the first time we've seen her become like yellow and the bullet like came through.
Right.
And so like she can tap into these different frequencies and energy fields and stuff that I don't know. It's still a mystery, and it's supposed to be, but it's clear we're going to get some exciting stuff from her.
Absolutely.
With Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Scouting
absolutely.
her.
And
back to the scene you were mentioning, Donovan. I think it's kind of a dark scene in that, like when they're tucking their kids into bed, and like
it is
the red is fading up on the window, and you're just like
behind them.
Damn, like, well, they're dead-ish or something, which obviously they're not by the end scene, which kind of lightens that a little bit or takes the darkness out a little bit, I guess. You're like, oh, Wanda's just cool with her kid dying, kind of. Which
I mean, I was gonna say they sounded in distress in that last scene, So
they did. It sounded like their souls were trapped.
Oh, ooh,
that's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like to me. That they were.
I just
their souls
assumed
were
it was
trapped.
like a different multiverse where they were literally real.
No, that's where it gets weird. What is real? Vision obviously dealt with that this season.
A different timeline where Thanos never showed up, where Vision and Wanda get to actually have their life together.
But these kids weren't anything they weren't kids that were cast in the show. She gave birth to these kids, right?
Right. Yeah, like they're
which is weird to me that they would disappear whenever the hex went down. I could see Vision more so, but even then, why? If you really break it down, why can props from the show get outside the hex, but Vision and her kids, they're created. They're not. I mean, I don't know. You start getting to magic,
like projected.
Wasn't there a few things that
the airplane they got?
So you're talking about how things they were rewritten to fit the era of inside the hex, and once they left, they retained that era.
Yeah, I guess her clothes, like Monica's clothes, looked like she had rewritten the whatever. I don't know. I guess you could explain it away. You can, I guess, because that was material. Yeah.
But it does. Well, also there was just that line earlier in the season with Monica. It was like, no, like those kids are real. They're her kids. But Monica says about the children, and I was just kind of like, I had always assumed that meant they could survive outside of the hex.
And maybe they did. We didn't see them die. We didn't see them evaporate.
That's true. We never saw them go away.
Well,
we saw them falling
disintegrate.
apart.
That's true.
We did. Yeah.
But what if someone like nipped in there real quick and take them somewhere else before the wave got there?
Well, I
don't know.
mean,
See, it's if they did that, it's just kind of stretching the narrative in a way that is just like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
I
clearly
know.
something happened to
Yeah.
him based on the post-credit scene. And
I like the
obviously-
Someone's using their voices to lure her somewhere.
yeah.
No,
I think
maybe.
what feels right to me is that they did have a soul or like an astral present, like being of themselves, and so once their body loses kind of the spell of existence, their soul or their essence exists somewhere else in
I agree
the
with that.
flux of the mystical whatever MCU
there's-
magic.
Even in the comics, I mean, theoretically, the original Gamora and Black Widow's soul are like inside the Soul Stone, which I guess if that's destroyed,
Yeah.
then they're dead. But yeah, I mean, there's been lots of speculation how they could even come back, or like, oh well, and there's a whole like line in the comics where like a whole like race of people comes out of the Soul Stone or something like, or the Mind Stone, one of those,
Yeah,
right?
and we can't rule out the fact that that was a flashback of her hearing their voices from when they were locked in the basement, and it just shows what she's focusing on as she's trying to learn the.
It could be, that would feel like an extra layer of trolling again from Marvel.
Yeah.
After
Well,
I can
Ralph
see
Bohner-
that. I don't think that's what's happening, but I could see
Yeah.
that though. I could see that.
Either way, I think it was a very poignant, kind of very sad. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I think all of it. I was hoping that they would still be around and like age up.
I cried.
and we'd get the
you know.
beginning of the Young Avengers kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think
No,
we're
it was
back.
sad, and then I think especially, I think Elizabeth Olsen nailed like her emotional beats just perfectly, and I really felt like that.
Yeah.
That scene felt like the true finale of the show. Like even though we'd
It
had the
was.
final battle, that was like the true resolution of
Yeah.
everything. And like,
Well, and it was good. It was not a like traumatic, devastating goodbye. Like it was a peaceful, accepting
Yeah.
goodbye, and an end of like a season for her that she was at peace with. And it was very clear that
Yeah.
that was that way. And even the way that they visually made Vision like disintegrate, it was a lot more. He wasn't like in pain and suffering. Like he was like, this is happening. you know?
yeah, and,
he is.
and
He,
I
it looked
love
like he
that.
ascended. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that he asked her like, "What am I? Like, how did you make me?" And she's
love
like,
they
"You're
went
just
into
the
that.
part of the Soul Stone that's in me." And I love that because it's just like, then yeah, he was really still Vision because he was still created of that. Oh man, it was very poignant, very powerful. I mean, the whole show just being about Wanda accepting, having to deal with grief and deal with trauma that even predated the grief, like is just it's done with such a very informed way, I would say. Like even my wife, like as the therapist, is like they did this with care and with intention, and they did this in a way that like agrees with mental health kind of theories and like good mental health kind of stuff. Just it's like, this is real, this is how it actually happens for people. Like yes, it's a show, yes, it's made up, but this is what people go through in a non-superhero version. And I just love that they were able to like bring in such a real and pertinent kind of idea and just be like, but this happens to superheroes too, and how does that happen when they go through these things? And I just thought it was really brilliant, and just as a whole, we should probably talk some of the misgivings. I know
Yeah.
Donovan's gonna burst.
Oh, I'm just like, I'm shaking over here,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things you just said was that how does a superhero deal with grief? And it sounds like they take control of a town and really fuck them over. And then,
Well, I think
well, then listen, but listen,
Monica
and
responded to that.
I don't know. I think it right now it is blowing up the internet, her response, and of like basically like, oh, I would have done it too. And I get it. If I was in the same situation, would I have done it? Probably. I get that. But
I think anyone that's honest with themselves would say yes.
sure, but I don't know, man. Granted, what can they do at that point? She's so powerful, but
it's
I
also
don't
that she
know.
didn't mean to.
It's
It
yeah,
was
it's
never
it's
intention. She didn't
dissociative.
realize it till later.
I
It
know,
was a
but
dissociative break for her.
I just don't
And
think
that's- I
we
think-
got. I don't think we got enough with her atonement with the citizens. That's my
think
thing.
that's gonna.
Well, I don't
be a
think that's ever going to
continued
happen.
thing that's
And,
dealt
and
with.
she was, she's like, they're never going to, I don't, it would have felt forced for her to like climb up there for the town square and be like, everyone, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Like,
Yes.
Sure.
you know,
and
I
they
don't
would
think
never
I
have
don't
done
think
it.
her atonement is
I
done.
know that.
But
think
they would
she's
have done it
still-
like that.
In the future, I mean, she's obviously not around civilization right now. She's not hanging out with people. I would assume that
Sure.
could be partly because she is not in like hunted, but not just like cool. No governments are cool with her. Like there's a lot of levels of like no one wants her to be around us. And I feel like that is going to continue to be I don't think they're done with the consequences of what happened here. I think that could play into
not.
Doctor Strange
Well,
2.
I don't either. I just think
and
it
I
makes
do
her
like the idea
absolutely
that
less heroic, And granted, it makes her more human to
think it's
be doing
real.
this. Sure. I don't know. There's something about it
mean,
that rubs me the wrong way.
I think it's the same way with like
I still
Ultron.
see, and I normally don't like the just victim mentality in general, especially if like you were an aggressor, but that's how I see her, is that she has this like unforeseen, unparalleled level of power that is mythological, that she doesn't know how to deal with or what it even is, combined with a dissociative traumatic break that like I can't imagine anyone handling that, in a less crazy
one's gonna
way.
do it well. Yeah,
Sure.
If you have that level of power, and
maybe
I
what I
sense-
needed.
I sense the remorse. Like she went.
oh yeah,
Through in the
She
final
feels like
episode,
shit.
she got to that
No,
point. Yeah,
I
and that's
agree
why
with
she's
that.
like, I can't look at these people in the face. Like,
I agree with that.
it's
I
just-
think then in that case, what I needed then is I needed other powers that be to be reacting more strongly to her, other than just I'm going to give you a dirty look in the street. I needed the FBI and them to be scared of her. I needed them to understand
well,
what
they
was
weren't
happening.
hanging out with her.
No, but she's walking around like she's part of the gang. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
She
think
needs-
so. She's walking through the middle of the town with the only people that are left are Monica and the people behind, like the people.
yeah, she got out as soon as the FBI got there, and
Sure.
And took-
I don't know.
you know,
And
I feel like
that's telling.
I just feel like personally, I just needed something else there. I guess I don't know. And
I think we'll get more of that in Strange and in some of the
Yeah.
upcoming stuff.
Well, I think
because
it
that's
could be
usually
a
how it's
recurring
done.
thing.
Well, look at Age of Ultron, like with Sokovia.
Exactly. In Civil War.
We got a lot of that societal response
Sure.
and the authoritative response to that and the fallout from those actions. So I
I
feel
don't-
like
And
we'll
that
get
still was playing out at the end of in Endgame or Infinity War. Like they were still
And
still playing off some, those thread
Yeah.
lines of the government is not cool with the Avengers. And
An
vice
interesting
versa kind of
Easter
thing.
egg that somebody was talking about was in Spider-Man Far From Home, because that takes place like 6 months after this.
Yeah,
which we
that
keep
kind of blew
forgetting.
my
But
mind
there's
when I realized.
yeah, so there's a line when they're looking at Mysterio and what's going on, or is before Mysterio. It was the stuff Mysterio was
Nick
using to have these monsters and this stuff. The teachers, I think, were or some of the people in the high school were speculating about it. Somebody was like, "Is it the witches? Are the witches back?"
oh my God, you're right. They do say
Or
that.
it said a line about that, and so at the time it seemed like a throwaway like joke, but now it's like people know that the witches did stuff and they could,
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
That's interesting.
that's cool.
That is.
Yeah,
That is
I
cool.
agree with you. I think they will touch upon it later. I don't think they'll do it in Doctor Strange 2. I think that movie's too big to focus on
I think you're probably right.
the ground level human aspect of it. I don't think so will at all. I think if
it'll
it
be
comes
like
back.
in mystical realms most of that movie.
Yeah,
You know
that's
I
what I'm
mean?
saying. That
Yeah.
movie is going to be a trip. It's not going to be in one spot too long.
But the
Maybe the
next
next
team up
Spider-Man.
movie, the next Avengers equivalent or whatever, I think they're gonna have to address it. It's gonna have to be kind of like the beginning of Infinity War,
I think
where it's like Cap was
Spider-Man,
in
'cause-
hiding, and when they come in there, they're like, "Well, arrest him right now," and he's like, "Fuck you," and turns it off. I think
Well, I still think that Wanda could be the bad guy. Doctor Strange 2.
I think it's totally possible. Totally possible.
I think so. Again, you guys brought up a good point earlier, is the power levels. what's to stop her from snapping away Thanos next time he shows up, as an example. And I think that what you do is you make her a tragic character, and I think there's something not cool, but like good and real about, hey, some people just don't stay good, or they don't end up being the good guy. They end up becoming the bad guy, and that's their destiny.
Or,
you know,
I mean, we're still
Batman quote.
Again, a
right,
big
yeah.
plot of House of M, you know, was in the comics was like them having to wipe her brain when her kids really died, and she was going to destroy the world with her grief, unintentionally.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, we could still get there by the end of Doctor Strange 2. You know what I mean? Like this could still be, you know, we may. I think you're potentially right, which makes me just sad, because I think I just love Elizabeth Olsen, and I love her character. I love watching her fuck up Thanos and in future battle. Like that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But I think it's in just a world building writing sense. It's like, well, what do you do now when you have this character on the good guys team? Like, how do you know, make that the stakes still feel real, or like matter?
Where you've got,
like, how do you like, oh no,
Scarlet Witch. Oh well, no, I was gonna say you've got Scarlet Witch, and then you've got Black Widow. Like, it's always been so entertaining to me. Everyone's like, you know, Thor's flying through and blowing stuff up, and she's like, high kick.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think there's a route there that they did in, you know, even X-Men 3 and in the recent X-Men Dark Phoenix movie, is that maybe she is being controlled by one of these entities, or, you know, I think it's more that than is her own power. And maybe she kills herself to save everyone else.
Yeah,
like she understands that my power is too much for any one person in myself to control, and I end it. And she would live on through her kids, her power set, at least a form of her power set. So
I could see that being the ultimate finale of Doctor Strange 2 if she is a bad guy in most of it.
I can too. And
it's her coming back to the light for the moment to just kind of.
And then what's interesting is how does. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, is the flip side of that is how does Vision deal with now Wanda being dead? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, does White Vision, is he gonna be a part of Doctor Strange 2? I don't know. I don't think so. Anticipate it.
And that's kind of one of my other problems is that she knows that White Vision exists. She saw him, but she doesn't comment on him on it one time or go look for him or anything like that.
But she doesn't know that he was. But she does know that. She does know that Sword was trying to rebuild Vision as a weapon. She's aware of that, and she didn't take the body, so she knew it was still out there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she had much time to assume what the heck that thing was. I think she just saw this thing came and tried to kill me, and then Vision came, and then all of a sudden, Vision's still here and he's not. All right, I got to get out of here and deal with this power stuff that I got.
I get that. I'm saying I still think if the whole show is about her grief losing Vision, you would think that she would at least think about, or you would see something of her looking for the new Vision or something.
If we had another 15 minutes in the show.
Well, that's the thing. I think we needed one more episode. My ultimate thesis in this whole thing is we needed one more episode for certain things. One of them being Hayward ended up being a joke character. You had Kat Dennings.
Yeah, that felt a little he's just the rogue government guy again, and the FBI is going to show up and put Sword agents in jail. And I'm like, what's the jurisdiction? Can the FBI arrest
Sword? Seems way more
Sword
powerful.
Seems way more badass than the FBI and like more like secret, like
which I think is agency. The case, but which is why I think Jimmy Woo is about to get a hell of a
promotion
because
what if he takes his place? What if he's the new Sword?
Who knows? But it was clear that like Hayward totally could have gotten away with that if it didn't go the way that it went. But Jimmy Woo was like, he was on.
But he also just kind of becomes like, why does he just hate all? I mean, I guess the throwaway explanation was the snap. You should have been here. Was horrible, and now I hate superheroes. But
I don't think he ever said he hated superheroes. I think he was just
he shows an obvious disdain towards all. He does. He's like they're dangerous. We have to have our weapons to protect us from these.
I don't blame him.
He aligned very much with the Tony Stark armor around the world philosophy.
Yeah, he did. He aligned with early Nick Fury. Yeah, I mean that's what.
Yes,
doing.
Yeah.
Nick Fury was building weapons in Avengers 1, and he was X, Y, and Z. You know,
It's true.
Yeah, but Nick Fury, if this was Nick Fury halfway into the conflict, he would have been like, "Yeah, we need superheroes sometimes."
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Nick Fury,
but-
I think, learned his. And it's like, guys, Thanos was coming either way. Let's just be a little logical
Right.
about this. It
Yeah,
was either get
Well-
snapped and never come back, or someone saves us. Anyway.
It brings another issue up though, is that I'm not a fan of Kat Dennings in the show. This is been my favorite version of her because she's been a little more toned down. But she literally how they wrap up her being in the show is she had to be somewhere else. That's her.
She said she's not like.
She said debriefs are for the
debriefs
week.
are boring. They're weak.
She said debriefs are for the week, which I thought was funny.
And the
I thought
only
it
thing
made
she did in
sense.
the episode was ram Hayward.
She did. And here's another thing too. I would never in a million years have her character, can't think of her name, Kat Dennings, defeat
Darcy.
Hayward. Monica Rambeau should have defeated Hayward. That's been her conflict the entire season.
Yeah, that's true.
That's-
That probably
you would-
should have been her role in it.
I promise you, if I'd been in the writer's room, that'd been one thing that wouldn't happen. You would not have good dialogue, but that wouldn't have happened. So that's you know,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that's a weird thing.
Yeah. Well,
I agree. I think that would have felt more appropriate. But I get what it felt like to me is they're just saving all that for Captain Marvel 2. It
Well,
kind
it
of just
felt
felt
like
like
to me-
they're not going to show us too much because they want to save the badass superpower shit.
Well, they needed another
that
20, 30
writing
minutes.
From that point of like a writing, we did get a Monica Hayward face off when she stepped in and protected the kids from him trying to shoot the kids,
But that should have been like that happens and then she takes
and then
him
she
down.
walks forward and
Yeah, exactly.
And then he like goes off and then he like does that and he's like,
He
okay,
runs
I'll
away.
get in a car and run you over. And then that's when that
Yeah.
happens. It's like,
It's weird.
yeah.
And then let's get into like the big one here is Ralph
Yes.
Bohner.
What
Okay.
the fuck? Like I'm trying to figure out.
Why was Monica like locked in there for the whole of last episode and a good
To
bit
keep
into
her from
this
helping.
one? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess he super speeded her in there, but then she took him down like that.
Well,
Well,
the
she took
answer
the
to your question is called plot. That's the
Yeah,
answer to
She,
your
well, she
question.
took it. She
Yeah.
took him down before the beads were off, and then that's when she
No, you're
noticed
right.
the beads and then took them off.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was-
yeah,
she
It
was-
was like,
He was like on the couch, and she was like looking out the window, like, "Oh, what's going on out here?" Like,
it
yeah.
seemed like they were holed
No,
up
it
there,
was-
not against her will at first. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
And then I'm just trying to figure out what was the point. Were they just trying to fuck with us? Like I'm like
That's really the only answer.
yeah.
and it just feels
It-
mean. I'm just like,
It
Marvel,
seem-
like that's not very nice.
It seems
you
like
got our hopes
they
up
thought.
intentionally.
It seems like someone thought it was a good idea to do that. Obviously, without the there's the thing. If you're going to do that, that's fine, but you don't do that when you base your show on mystery, and you also don't do that when you tell
Reveals.
and when you tell people
when we know that you've
beforehand,
got multiverse
Exactly.
storylines coming down the line.
that's
And we
that's
know
the
that
issue.
X-Men was
sh-
just bought by you.
Yes,
Yeah.
you
You
showed
know
your
that-
hand.
Wanda is the daughter of Magneto. Like there's just too many tie-ins. And for that,
Exactly.
and it's just like
It's a
and
perfect
you
storm.
recast Pietro, that line with the fact that it's just like
It's too.
it's
It was
just
too
mean.
much.
And then the
It was
fact that
too
he's
much.
just the guy that lives there. It's just that's the worst conclusion
Yeah.
to that arc and that idea. I'm just like, well, that's the most boring version of the way that could have played out, and the most like kind of like it just
And
becomes a
they
meta
ended-
troll.
And they end it with a dick joke. Honestly, that's what happened. It's probably
Yeah.
like the worst. One of
It's
the worst
most, like
MCU
middle
jokes.
finger to fans. It almost feels like.
Yeah.
It is, and again, I think, to be fair to them, they're probably like, "Oh, this would be really cool, X, Y, and Z." But someone wasn't in there for this particular case to say, "Hey, think about all these connecting dots and what fans are going to do." And maybe they thought that, and it just backfired on them. Maybe they didn't
Yeah.
care, and they thought like us, we would talk about it and create a frenzy. But if that was the case, then that was a really stupid move on their part, because there's a lot of people right now that are very upset.
When that kind
It
of broke the like when that happened. It was just
Yeah.
like oh my god! It was like everyone started paying attention to WandaVision then. Like even the people
Yeah.
that are like, the first 2 episodes
See,
is boring.
That's
They
the
came
thing,
back to
like
that.
the level of criticism that we're applying to this series, we would have never dreamt about applying based on our expectations prior to episode 1 of what this
At
series
all.
was going to be. We'd have been like,
At all.
oh, this is a fun, quirky thing. Like, let's watch this until Falcon and the Winter Soldier gets here. But then it was like, oh my gosh, this is significant. They're doing big things. They're being very intentional about every minute detail based on
There's
how they,
so many little lines that are hinting to things like, oh, I've got my friend, the aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to do an
And the
interview, but I
fact that
can't wait to
we've
show
had-
you who
we've
that
had-
is.
we've had all these theories that have come true midway through. And so we continue to have these theories, and based on things that are people saying, combined with what they're presenting in the story, and then boner, you know?
Yeah.
I know. It's,
I want to be
astrophysicist, dude.
I want to
like,
be optimistic,
I
but I
know.
don't. I think that they did it on purpose. I just think it was a wrong move by them for this,
think they
for
need-
exactly
they're-
what you're talking about.
I haven't really checked the internet as much. I'm assuming there are other people that are equally
Yeah.
as upset about this conclusion.
Well, we watched this
Oh, no,
hours
it's-
ago. I mean, this is a pretty fresh take.
I've
on
watched-
one
oh
of
yeah,
our
I mean
parts,
this
like-
is
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I've from what I've seen, and I've read already thousands of comments on my normal websites from different individuals. Some are saying that it's totally fine, and that because the show delivered on what the showrunners told us it was going to deliver us on, and what Kevin Feige told us beforehand. And there's a lot of people who are very upset about what we're talking about right now, is that there was obviously, you could connect the dots easily, and they did stuff that was manipulative, you know? So
Yeah, it did feel a little manipulative. I feel a little bit like I feel like I want Kevin Feige or someone to come out and be like, oh, he's gonna be back or something, or like there's more to that than meets the eye, or like just something like to be like, surely it wasn't that pointless. You know what I mean? And just like, and like, how did Agatha? Was it
is
just
that us?
pure
Is that me?
coincidence that
my
Agatha?
doorbell ringing?
Because Agatha brought the Pietro over, so like she just was like, oh man, turns out there's a guy living in this town that looks like her brother in a different dimension.
Hey, you guys
This
give
is
me one
perfect.
second, real
This
quick.
couldn't
I'm
have-
gonna
Yeah, go ahead.
black
We'll
out
keep
for a
riffing
second.
about this.
Yeah.
So somebody else,
It's like- It's like, oh God, it's just perfect coincidence that someone that looks like her brother in a different version of reality happens to live in the town where she took over.
yeah. I mean, I guess at this
Yeah.
point, we're supposed to assume that Agatha gave him his super speed and that he's just a normal guy.
And made him think that he's her brother, and gave her
Right.
the memories of her real brother in MCU. And yeah, it just feels like too much of a like. It feels like if it's that much of a stretch, it's like a meta slap in the face
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So,
Like, you know, this is gonna make fun of you guys for like theorizing kind of thing, because it's so there's so many like conveniences and like things that had to have happened for him to be there, and that it just feels too convenient. It feels
Well, and
incredibly
and
too convenient.
I mean, and it was intentional because I read something about the fact that I didn't see it, but it did leak that actor was coming to the set for this show.
Yeah. Well, his
and
name
they
was apparently on the casting.
yes,
Who are we talking about?
and
I'm sorry.
Quicksilver,
Oh yeah.
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 the Pietro.
Right.
But they literally snuck him in under,
Yes.
cloaks and in vans and stuff. They knew exactly what they were doing. But
You know,
the
they shot
whole
all his
point-
scenes in one day, by the way.
Yeah, well, the whole point
Wait,
was just
really?
I don't know if
I'm
that.
assuming. Like, how many days do they need him for amount of scenes he was in?
No, it had to have
There's-
been multiple days, just based on the sets and stuff.
It had to be multiple days. Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
But-
it had to be
But
multiple days.
maybe two. But I was just telling Travis, is like, it's so convenient that it's impossible almost to accept it as chance, because he just someone that looks identical to Wanda's brother in a different dimension happens to be living in this house that Wanda has taken over the town for.
That's why
and
it's in
Agnes
the
is like,
negative
"Oh,
section
God.
right now.
Hey,
This
check
show.
it out. There's someone here
Well,
that
and if
looks
they
like
do
her brother
intend-
in a different dimension. I'll
If
use
they do
him.
intend
It just-
to convey that he somehow came from the other dimension, and he's X-Men. I mean, I feel like they've missed the time to explore that and to, talk about that. Like
100%.
Opportunity
And
is gone.
that would have been a very exciting prospect. Again, I know people.
I mean,
there's people
even if you don't do anything with it,
exactly,
and just have like Agatha or Wanda send him back, and then we never see him again. Like that would be more satisfying.
Or him
It
just
would have been.
disappeared. He just
That he's a part
of.
he's a part of a temporary spell, like his being here. She takes the pearls
That
off
would have
of
been a
him and
better
he goes
explanation.
back.
That would have been a better explanation.
Yeah.
No, he's
No,
just
yeah,
here.
100%.
He lives here conveniently.
Yeah, I don't get it, guys. It kind of blew my mind actually when it happened. I was like, what? I
feel like I need to rewatch it and are they telling us things between the lines here that I'm just missing? Like,
They're not.
you know what I mean? Is he like sign languaging? I'm actually from X-Men while he's saying these dumb things, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, there has to be something I missed. There has to be something I missed.
Something else that somebody pointed out, just when they were trying to talk about, whether this was facilitated by another entity or manipulated the circumstances, was what are the odds that Vision bought an empty lot in a rando town next to a house that has ancient witch dungeon underneath it?
Well, I assumed Agatha just made that.
You think she just made that?
Yeah.
With magic. I just assumed she just magically created a thing. Or maybe there really was a basement and she just magically did all that stuff in it.
That's what I think. Yeah. That's what I think happened too.
But yeah, there's levels of coincidences and it kind of breaks my brain. And like, granted, it's not core to it is kind of core to the story. Like, there's a whole episode dedicated to her trying to figure out why Pietro's here and why he looks different and why he, I don't know. It just feels like kind of a major fumble. It feels like a major fumble.
It does. I feel like right now, this is one of the few times, to me, people compared it to the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, but worse. Because at least at least the Mandarin, it had an actual a reason behind it, and it was funny. It was funny, whether you like the twist or not. But then they also are coming out and being like, "Oh yeah, there's a real Mandarin. We're gonna do it justice. We're gonna do it justice." Yeah, and to be fair, I know Travis watched it. I think Travis watched it, but there was that short that came out was like a year after or not even a year. Yeah, like a year after Iron Man 3, and so they were really trying to retcon that fast. Yeah.
Repair.
Again, I don't know. I don't. It blows my mind. I think the ultimate thing is there's only two options. Either they just weren't aware of it. I just don't believe that they're too smart for that. I think it was to drive
layers
viewership.
Of people that should have been like this. This had to go through marketing people and go through community manager. Like there's too many layers of people. Like someone should have been able to raise the flag here, and maybe they did, and just no one wanted to listen to them. I don't know, but
yeah. Again, I don't know. It's a weird one, and they can always explain it later. They could say that, hey, this guy, we have doppelgangers on Earth, whatever, and so maybe we'll see a human version of her brother that's a different person, the real like MCU Pietro in the multiverse, and like, you know what I'm saying, like that's how they could get away with it.
Isn't there even like leaks or some kind of rumors that the actual Pietro from MCU has been like confirmed to be coming back in the future or something? Like I've read
not that I know of. I know that they had in the writer's room or whatever, they had talked about bringing in Aaron Taylor Johnson back to do Quicksilver, which would have been better than having a Pietro.
It would have been better, but you wouldn't be able to have that explanation. You wouldn't have had your boner joke, which
exactly. But at that point, if you bring in him, you really kind of cut through the "Who is he" episode, and you just have it. He's just a cool cameo at that point.
Instead of "Who is he?" "How is he?"
Exactly.
Which is still,
and then you can be like, magic.
Enough.
Okay, I believe you. I get it. That's fine. That's all the explanation I need.
Because we're also like, well, Vision was dead, now he's here, and now he was dead, and now he's here. Like,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And their answer, of course, was you can't bring him back dead, but that's an easy. This is a mirage. you know what I'm saying? He's not brought back. He's a mirage. So I don't get, again, I think it's just manipulation for viewership and for the hype. And they in that case, they successfully succeeded, but
Yeah.
now it's back.
There's
on.
also that, and there are some threads here that like I wonder if we'll get answers to. Like the fact that Jimmy Woo originally came to Westview for like what it was like, he had a missing person that was in witness protection, right? Like that he had a witness protection guy in Westview and he's gone missing, and that's how he discovers the hex. I've always felt like that person is probably a significant person that we are just kind of glossing over. Like someone that's in witness protection, that could be any of the Avengers after like still potentially with the government. I don't know how that's going to work, but like there's so many people I think that could be.
Possibly. I think the FBI is a little below Avengers affairs, honestly.
Yeah, but Jimmy Woo isn't. He was checking in on Ant-Man.
Yeah, but that was when Ant-Man.
I mean, it could be fucking Ant-Man. It could be Ant-Man.
No, but that's but in that case, he's like Scott Lang is you're right. Scott Lang's a citizen. You know what I'm saying? He's not even at that point. He's not an Avenger. You know what I'm saying?
Is because he was a thief, a common like.
Well, that was the whole like the B plot with him and Evangeline Lilly. It's him calling it Cap and her getting annoyed.
Yeah.
And then she calls him Cap in Endgame. I think
it's a fine excuse and something that it, you know, of course you can read into it like we have everything else, but I think it almost says more is that Jimmy Woo doesn't care about his witness protection person anymore after. Well, that's more of an issue to me, honestly.
The whole deal was that he had disappeared. Nobody knew where he was or that he existed. But
the
whole or maybe it just was he was a part of. Maybe it's just he was one of the Westview residents.
Jimmy's a bad handler. You know, you wouldn't want him to be on your case for witness protection. So
no, but he's great at magic.
That's true. That's true. I've been trying to learn magic because of this, actually.
I love that.
The only magic person.
You're not the only magician in Westview or whatever. Another one magic in Westview.
Yeah.
So I mean, going forward, I feel like
you guys see this.
Oh no.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I saw the reflection.
You went out of frame a little bit, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh really? Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I feel like going forward, I'm still very excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Well, of course.
Very excited about Spider-Man 3. Very, very excited about Loki. Still don't know what I feel like about Eternals just because I don't know what I'm getting.
Yeah, no frame of reference.
I don't feel like my hype has lessened for those things, but I am less on the edge of my seat right now for Marvel. And that feels a little I mean, I trust them. I trust that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be 6-hour-long action movies, basically. And I'm into that buddy cop action films. And I'm like, yes, I think that'll be great. A whole season of Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the center spotlight. I'm all in for that. It sounds amazing. But just as terms of like the larger plots of the MCU, I feel like I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I feel like I know what to expect now more. I feel like it's just kind of going a little more paint by numbers comics-y maybe now than I thought it might. Yeah. I don't know. I was like kind of hoping for big mix-ups.
I gotta say, like,
I don't know.
No, I think the broad strokes that all the things I've been saying on the previous podcast, I still think every single one of those things will happen. I just think that they went about it in a worse way than we had thought of ourselves. And I think they'll get there. I think they'll get there, but now I'm like, oh, you could have got there better. Like, I don't know.
Right. And I think sometimes it's also, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but sometimes I think maybe the afterglow of what was Infinity War and Endgame, the fact that exceeded my expectations so completely. Like, I knew it was going to be a fun movie, but to be that emotional and gripping and heartbreaking and just like, I still like cry and get teary at the finale of Endgame, like the big, I mean, it's still just like on your left and it's just like, it hits, man. Yeah. And so I think, but prior to that, there was still a little bit of up and down, like in quality, I felt like, in terms of like the Doctor Strange origin story for me was just okay. Like there was, I mean, Civil War was great. Pretty much everything they were doing, Captain America was great. Black Panther was great. Captain Marvel was another one of those like, okay. It's not that, I think maybe it's unfair to expect in-game Infinity War levels of quality and exceeding of expectations going forward, but that's what I'm naturally doing, I think. And I think also, like, again, the Pietro, the little things we were getting, like, oh my God, it's gonna blow our minds like Infinity War. It's gonna exceed every expectation again. And it didn't. It just kind of met expectations in most ways and underperformed in a couple of others. And so I think it's just like, man, I maybe in more an Infinity Game, we're just, I mean, I hope we're going to get back to that level of just like, I couldn't have expected it being this good, and you did it. But it also is something maybe, Donovan, you've touched on, is like, that was a monumentous peak. And you can't just do that over, like, you can't hit peaks over and over again. It's just,
I mean, you got to build up to that kind of stuff, you know. I mean, it's like the classic thing is, look at DC and what they were trying to do. It failed miserably because they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, and they didn't earn anything. That's the problem. And again, this is the first thing in phase 4 we've gotten. I think we might be a little.
Spider-Man Far From Home was
Spider-Man was the first phase 4.
Yeah, that was the final phase 3.
Oh, you're right. It was
number 23.
Yeah.
I think, again, we might be too hard on it. I don't know. Its biggest fumble to me is the Pietro thing. Everything else seems more about expectations and maybe a little bit of poor writing.
Everything else I can kind of forgive and
I mean,
or live with
and live with, and still I can find live things with, that I really enjoy about it. The Pietro thing, I find nothing enjoyable about that arc. No. Like, I don't want to rewatch those episodes. I'm like, okay, well, this is stupid.
Yeah, I can live with Kat Dennings taking out Hayward. I can live with, her not talking to White Vision, X, Y, and Z. I can live with all this.
That one's
stuff.
Just like that's a face. Like, there's nothing good about it.
Yeah, that's what that is, and that's the issue we're having really right now, is that again, our expectations were so high, and some people said when this happened that he's just some guy that she's controlling in the town, and we were like, I was like, I will bet so much. I would have lost my whole livelihood if someone had put a bet on it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man.
The Ryan Johnson approach.
Oh yeah,
he's nobody.
Yeah, and Donovan, when you kind of reframe it as like, this is kind of the equivalent of Iron Man 1 in terms of the beginning of a new phase.
It is what it is.
And
it's
that
supposed to be.
But it also, now that you said that Spider-Man Far From Home is the end of phase 3, but it happened after this, that's kind of messing with me. I don't like that.
Well, Black
Widow,
Widow,
chronological breaks with.
Black Widow is the first phase 4 movie, but it takes place after Civil War, before Infinity War. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that one, but in terms
really
of it mattering at all in the mix.
Oh, I think it'll be very.
I do too. Yeah. I think it will just replace Black Widow as its ultimate objective. Is what's going to happen. It's going to replace Black Widow with another Black Widow.
Yeah. I think the only thing that they could do to bring it, make it somewhat relevant is have like a flash forward stinger where Clint Barnum's like still dealing with it or something, and it has his daughter and
he's had his own show.
Yeah, well that's what I'm saying.
Which is about him passing the torch too.
Exactly. Yeah. But they can somehow bring it into him remembering her or something like that.
Sure.
I expect some type of flashback, or I expect the movie to be a framework of bookends. I do expect that.
Yeah.
One thing this will kind of talk about the future is that Monica's post-credit scene. As soon as she walked in the theater, I literally I was laying on the floor.
You called it.
Me and Katie were watching. I said scroll, and then she turned to a scroll, and then
man, I was still having this sliver of hope that it was gonna be Reed fucking Richards. Man, I was breaking my own heart, but I was just like,
that she's gonna walk in there,
or like she walks in there, and then there's a voice that says, "Sorry, I was late." You know what I mean? And it like turns over and he's sitting in the crowd.
Fantastic Four initiative.
Honestly, I would have liked that better than fucking RALPH Bohner.
so much worse. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You guys did a fantastic job handling this.
Exactly. Exactly. You really put
Why
in
do you keep
4
saying
quarters. Here.
fantastic?
Fantastic job.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Work it in as many times as possible.
I think someone mentioned this earlier, and I'm just going to kind of double check with you guys. I assume she's talking about Nick Fury.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And he's still up in space with Talos.
Yeah.
And it
When
seems
did
like
that
it's
happen?
all
When did he go up there?
Well, in the
Far
Far
From
From
Home.
Home stinger at the end of Far From Home,
Oh.
it reveals that that Nick Fury and
Talos.
help me hit his
you talking about Agent Romanoff? Not Romanoff. Agent.
no. How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, it's Colby Smulders, but I can't think of her name. Yeah.
Both of them were Skrulls throughout the whole movie, and they were
Right.
just supposed to keep a handle on Spider-Man and stuff. And then they
That's
called
right.
Nick Fury, who was
That's
up
right.
in the ship.
I don't think you ever watched that credit scene, Daniel. I think we talked about that on our podcast.
I may not. Maybe that's right. Maybe like I missed it
Yeah.
and you like told me and I was like,
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That's maybe
it's,
right, that
it's
may be
so dude, it's so funny because it changes the whole movie because you're like that wasn't them the whole time.
It's
Like-
Maria Hill. That's what it is.
Yeah, Maria Hill and Nick
Oh, yeah.
Fury
okay.
like were played
That
by
is funny.
Skrulls
That
throughout
kind of makes
whole
the movie almost more of a comedy.
Yeah, because there's that one
Yes.
moment where Nick Fury and one of the drones was like there's some major risks and decisions made by them. Kind of.
Well, also, yeah, there's a few times where Samuel's a little more comedic in it, and it seems like, oh, he's just having fun in the role, but it's like, oh, actually,
but it's like
Talos. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, it's Talos
funny.
trying to be like a badass,
Uh-huh.
you know, which
It's
paints
so
it in a
good.
different light. Well, what's interesting is that I still, well, okay, two things. I think that's all built up for Captain Marvel 2, obviously, because we're in space. You have Samuel L. Jackson there again, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel 2. Part of me thought, oh, maybe it's about Secret Invasion and the TV show. But I mentioned before, I kind of think that Secret Invasion would be something that happened maybe before Iron Man with Talos and Nick Fury. Like they've been doing stuff before, whatever. But
cool.
But then I also think that the only cool thing about Secret Invasion was the idea that these heroes are being replaced. I kind of find it hard. I kind of find it hard that, you know, I don't know.
Like,
There's not
how do
that
they
many
do that
heroes
at that level.
There's a lot of heroes, but how many can they do that? How can they do that at that level on a TV show with like important people we care about, like Falcon? I mean, obviously you can have Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you can't do Black Widow. You can do Hawkeye, I guess, and you can't do Cap. You can't do Iron Man. You can't do Wanda really.
Yeah.
You can't really do Doctor Strange. You can't really do the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of it kind of dilutes the story a little bit for me. And I had this thought today. I want to pitch something to you guys. Wouldn't it have been cool that part of the cool thing about Secret Invasion A is that whenever they reveal themselves, you're like, oh shit, it was Skrulls the entire time. Wouldn't it have been cool?
All along.
Yeah, but we obviously know the title of the show. Here's what I would have done. I would have had the show called Nick Fury. And then after the end of the first episode, when they start revealing themselves, you change the title of the show to Secret Invasion. That would have blown
He's getting
people's
his own
minds.
show anyway, right?
Well, his show is Secret Invasion. He's not getting a Nick
Oh,
Fury
that is
show.
his show. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that would have you ever seen a TV show change its title mid-season?
They could easily do it because it's Disney and they have their own channel and they can. Just
Wouldn't that have
do
been
whatever
amazing?
they
I'm
want.
just saying.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I
Or
had
just
today.
do Nick Fury : Secret Invasion. Like, that'd be
Exactly.
the
I thought
easiest
that
thing.
too.
Yeah.
That would have been an
That would
amazing
be.
idea.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
That would have been
That
cool.
would have been cool. Yeah,
But
they
but
did-
now it
but
feels
they
like we
didn't.
know what's happening. And
I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think Secret Invasion could take place prior to Captain Marvel based on Nick Fury's response
Right.
to all the
Well, I think
alien
it take-
stuff. It seemed
well,
like
no,
his
it'd have to
first.
like
I think it
Iron
takes
Man
place.
1 maybe.
Yeah, I think it takes place between I thought initially between
who's
Captain
around then?
Marvel and between Iron Man. I don't. I think it's more of a we're taking over government officials, and
Okay.
it's more of
Probably.
Nick Fury teaming up with Talos to fight that scenario versus fighting superheroes.
I'd
You
love
know.
it to be that Secret Invasion actually takes place at the same time as Avengers 1. And in fact, they were the Avengers in Avengers 1. That's why Cap sounds so stupid. And all these other things are something. Like explain Josh Whedon's bad dialogue with the Secret Invasion.
If they did that, my head would pop off, and I'd probably actually be very upset with the MCU at that point. But
Well, it's kind of we got
There's too many retcons that would have to take place.
We got a lot of that in Infinity War, where they went back and visited all these moments, and we got a good laugh out of that stuff. So we've kind of seen that a little bit.
I don't think they'd do that again. Yeah.
But I don't know. I keep thinking about. Do you think that she's going to be in Secret Invasion, or do you think that she's only going to be in Captain Marvel 2? I don't know. I really don't know where Monica's going.
I'm assuming since he called her up there, Monica's in Secret Wars.
And the next Avengers movie, whenever that happens.
Sure.
Yeah. And Captain Marvel.
Phase 5,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, do we just give some final thoughts? I mean,
I would talk about one more thing I just thought was cool was White Vision. You know, I knew about White Vision from the West Coast Avengers comic, which I just never thought about it, honestly. But I was talking to Matt about it. We have our own little thread. And Matt was like, yeah, dude, he's in Marvel versus Capcom 2, the fighting game. That's White Vision. And I was like, oh my God, that's Vision in the game. When you play as Vision, he's White Vision in the game. And it's just a really cool little, I don't know if you guys ever played it or not, but that's a great game. It's a great fighting game back in the 2000s, early 2000s.
I'll say that's another part that I'm I mean, the future of Vision is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm very much looking for, I think Paul Bettany has secured himself as one of my favorite MCU actors from the show. Like, I liked him before, but now I'm like, I love him. I love him.
I think Ultron could come back now because of this, because if they went back to the very beginning of the code, and I just watched Age of Ultron, what's playing back behind me right now, actually. There was like a thing about he uploaded half his body into Vision before Vision, you know, become Vision. So you wonder, like, I wonder if they'll bring back Ultron at some point now. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think it'd be cool, but based on like a lot of response, I don't know if they'll. It seemed like the concept of the character of Ultron went over a lot of people's heads.
I loved it.
Based on the feedback of the movie and how like people didn't love it as much as others. Like,
yeah, it's weird to me. I think it's great.
But I did see like in the comics, like White Vision at some point, like colors himself and like kind of becomes regular Vision. Does he not? Or that's a story?
Yeah, I mean he becomes.
So he's got that ability. So
that's what I was kind of wondering. Yeah,
turn himself into any. Like, he obviously can make himself look human. Can he just make himself look colorful again?
Well, I would love for this to kind of inadvertently be kind of the way that they achieve what they were trying to do in Wakanda and Endgame, so that he is.
Well, I was expecting. I was kind of expecting in the Vision v Vision finale for them to maybe merge. Like, that was a possibility in my head.
Yeah, I was too.
I know we talked about that.
Yeah,
I didn't. I mean, what they did.
What they did better.
Made plenty of. Yeah, I do too.
I kind of like the thought.
Because we got our goodbye and we get our Vision.
Exactly.
So. I think that he's going to be something obviously different than Vision beforehand. I think he kind of has to be. He's gonna. I'm not sure if he's going to wrestle with his identity, but he's going to be something else. What's cool is, like, you know, WandaVision Vision, he had a lot of fun. Even whenever his children at the very end, he like, boys, he said, come here. The way he talked, he never talked like that before WandaVision. He felt more human, right? And now I'm like, man, I love that. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what we get with the new Vision. I don't know.
Well, I'm hoping that those restored memories. Well, I don't suppose any of those memories would be from WandaVision.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm saying. Because if you watch that flash,
it's everything that leads up to the stone.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, man, he don't get all those cool. Granted, he didn't learn anything super valuable, but he just.
The fact that Vision in WandaVision, her vision was just pure Soul Stone energy. And he touched the White Vision. That now makes it even more important about that. Because, like, it was the Soul Stone being put, like energy being put back into White Vision too at that point.
You're right. That's
Right?
actually
Because
you're
he's pure
Yeah.
Soul Stone at that point. So he's
Yeah,
basically
that's
like
awesome.
giving him more Soul Stone connection, what was missing. And I think that's why it goes gold too. I think.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll be Soul, but he's not a soldier. No.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's kind of the perfect definition for his art. I've got a soul, but
I've got Soul,
But I'm not
soldier.
a soldier. Man.
It's
not
pretty
the-
accurate. It's kind of weird how much that surmises. Like, his
Yeah, it's
whole
weird how that
character.
applies.
I don't want to be a weapon. I'm trying to figure out who I am, what I am.
That's what it is.
Awesome.
Kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, going forward, I think another thing, I mean, I was going to say it earlier, but I feel like we'll get some real world societal response to this in Spider-Man, since he's the more ground level hero, and based on what we got from Far From Home, where we got to see kind of the world's response to the decimation and the blip and all these other things, and Tony's death and stuff like that. So I'm expecting to have, I mean, even in small like dialogue lines, to get a sense of where the world is after all of this, and Far From Home and all that, because where we left off in Far From Home is J. Jonah Jameson saying Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So that's still out there.
Which I don't think will, honestly, just real quick, I don't think that will matter at all in the movie. I think it will.
I feel like
none
we'll
of the
have a way
MCU
of
characters
sidestepping
care
but
about their. It's not affected any of the MCU characters having their identities out there.
Yeah, and also Nick. I mean, it's a simple call from Nick Fury. Is that no? He's a good guy. You know, I mean, like, I don't know. That to me is. I think it's just a red herring. But go on. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I now that we've kind of understood what happened at the end, I think Falcon Winter Soldier could take place months after this. At this point.
I think so.
Or during or anything like so we'll see. I'm interested to see where the rest of the timeline plays out, because it's all got to play into each other. It all will play into, like, Loki will somehow have things that play into this, or what this direction is. Like, it's going to be involved somehow, like they always do. They always find a way to tie it in, or it leads to something that will impact the story over here. So I'm just interested to see how the timeline plays out in the next year, because I feel like it's just kind of a mystery right now, like when things take place and how they will affect things.
Yes, I think that.
But also Loki's could just take place out of time, because he's like with the time cops basically. So,
I think a good thing about Falcon Winter Soldier is even though I obviously they'll set things up, I don't anticipate it like WandaVision to do what it did. I feel like it's going to be like a more self-contained story, even though WandaVision is self-contained, but I don't think there will be an expectation that, no,
I think expectations are different.
Yeah, exactly. And in a good way, and
in a healthier way.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not expecting X-Men out of Falcon. What did they do? What if that's how they introduce X-Men, and they just totally just like, oh yeah, you thought it was WandaVision last week? Nope.
Yeah, I would tip my hat at that point, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Me too. They like reveal in the first episode that RALPH BOHNER isn't actually RALPH BOHNER. It's Pietro from the multiverse.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But he's Baron Zemo's kid.
Hi guys, I've been assigned to be your scientist liaison with Sword. I'm Reed Richards. Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
They're
I feel
gonna
like
quickly fix everything that the fans were mad about in episode 1. They're gonna do some reshoots this week.
Guys, damage control.
Yeah.
I again, to be fair, I think most of this phase is all about introducing new characters. And it's kind of setting things up for phase 5, more importantly. Again, I think you're right, Travis.
Yeah.
Spider-Man and Doctor Strange is where we're going to get the most out of what happens next for WandaVision. But we have, Falcon Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Shang-Chi. We have
Eternals.
Loki. We have Eternals. We have Moon Knight, She-Hulk. We have Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel 2. Secret Invasion, Armor Wars. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot that's going to be coming.
Oh yeah, I forgot about a lot of this.
Moon Knight. I'm excited about Moon Knight.
I'm excited for Moon Knight.
That's Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. That's gonna be awesome.
I know. I'm into it.
Moon Knight Shyamalan, was that?
Well, and then
No.
did y'all see those rumors
Moon Knight's
today
cool.
about Henry Cavill? They're wanting him as Captain Britain.
You have no idea how bad I want this to happen. By the way,
I love it, and I love that he's like he got his powers from Merlin in like the ancient times. It's not like
Oh
Captain
yeah,
America.
King
It's like more
Arthurian,
mystical.
like
Yeah, it's that.
which
He's
they could tie
basically
into Eternals actually, because Eternals will have
Easily.
Black Knight in it, which is played by Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And Black Knight, of course, is from medieval times, so they could easily bring in Captain Britain. You have no idea how
I can
bad.
see it.
Like, I don't know what's
I would just
happening
love
with
for
it,
Henry
with the-
Cavill to come over and like kill it in
Yes.
the MCU and him become this major star, and then
That's
they
the
like
thing.
don't cast him again in J.J. Abrams' Superman or whatever, and it's just like, okay, cool.
Well,
we'll
that's
take-
the thing. Like,
we'll take Henry.
I feel like we'll know more in 2 weeks when Snyder Cut comes out.
True.
But yeah, I can't. You have no idea. That's a whole other fucking podcast. I'm dying right now.
I'd love
I'm
it.
dying.
Man. I'd love
That's
it.
gonna be a 2-hour podcast after that drops. So, yeah.
Yeah, his costume. I saw a picture. It looks like the Daredevil costume, but with Britain's flag on it. That's what it kind of looked like to me. And I was
he'd
like,
be so-
cool, man. Do it.
What's
Let's
sad
go."
about it is that they would make Captain Britain. The world would like Captain Britain much more by the end of it than they ever did with Henry Cavill Superman. Just because they would give him the coolest shit. He would get to do a lot of fan servicey stuff, interact with all these other heroes, and
he gets to be
I mean,
British and like
Yeah, he gets to be British.
just
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like, they would actually use the character instead of taking 3-4 year breaks to, continuously fuck him up. So that would just be, anyway, I would love it. I would love it.
I'd love it too.
We'll see where Henry's, his allegiance lies in the next couple months whenever all this stuff starts breaking out. There's some weird things happening right now in the Snyder world.
Cut. Yeah.
Um,
Well, in a couple
Anyway.
weeks, we'll have a great podcast to break all that down with watching the Snyder Cut.
I've got a book right here talking about it. So I'm plugged in, boys. I'm plugged in.
Oh man.
Anyway, I think we did it. Final thoughts is
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think I've said
Daniel?
everything I have to say.
Yeah, me too. Daniel, how can our listeners write into us?
You can write into bit.ly/241mail. And I only want you to write one thing, Ralph Bohner. I don't want any other text anywhere. I want endless messages that just say Ralph Bohner because I need cathartic release of that
Me
bad
too.
energy. But you can also tell us what you thought of the finale. Did it meet your expectations? Are we just fucking crazy idiots who, just speculated too much and, pixel peeped every line and whatever? I want to know. bit.ly/241mail. Let us know, please.
They could have had Magneto on this, man. Her costume looks so much like Magneto's.
It did.
It's upsetting
did.
almost.
They should have had a
Waste.
third stinger at the end of the credits where he just turns around and goes, "And I'm Magneto," and cut to black.
I would have been in. I would have been okay with it,
or
honestly.
one shot where he's just on the outside of town watching. I mean, that would have done it for me, probably.
Anyway, if you haven't
And-
already, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell.
Yeah.
That way, up to on all future episodes of Podcast 2-for-1 and all the cool, crazy, ridiculous content we do at 2-for-1 Studios. Guys, of course, as always, it's a pleasure doing this, talking to you guys about
Yes.
WandaVision. We have a 2-week break. We get to break down Snyder Cut. And then, of course, we get to start talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier for 6 more weeks. So
Love it.
I'm
And then
excited
it's like
for that.
Month break for Loki, and I guess Black Widow's in between.
Yeah. Do you guys think it'll be on Disney Plus Premier Access in May?
I think it will, unless vaccines become
They'll
like
probably do
available at
both.
Walgreens.
I feel like we're getting to a point where they
Yeah, I think
can't
it'll do
keep
both.
pushing back. I don't know if they can keep pushing back their slate because of COVID.
When will it? Yeah, it's gonna be like we're gonna have to wait till 2035 to get the finale of Phase 5 or whatever.
Yeah. I just think there's too many things like Spider-Man and a different company owns that, and like
Yeah, I
scheduling
know,
that's
right,
gonna
right.
it's gonna conflict with
Yeah.
them because I don't see Sony pulling their December date, so I feel like they kind of have to get certain things out.
They're bleeding
Mhm.
money too much to do that. They need the money.
Yeah.
We need
Exactly. Anyway, my name is Donovan Thompson.
I am Daniel Wingfield.
And
that's-
I'm
that's
And I'm Travis Mosler.
And we have spoken.